Formula One is often seen as the ultimate playground for the ultra-rich, a sport where billionaire sons cruise around in million-dollar machines. But not every F1 driver was born with a silver spoon. While some racers had every advantage money could buy, others had to claw their way to the top through grit, talent, and sacrifice. In this video, Throttle Talk explores the striking contrast between the richest and poorest drivers to ever grace the F1 grid. Kimi Räikkönen, from Finnish forests to F1 fame. Before he became the legendary Iceman, known for his cool demeanor and dry wit, Kimi Räikkönen's early life looked nothing like the luxurious lifestyle he enjoys today. Born in Espoo, Finland, in October of 1979, Kimi's upbringing was far from glamorous. He was raised in a modest, hand-built greenhouse in the middle of a dense Finnish forest, a place with no indoor plumbing, no bathroom, and constant threats from the local wildlife, including bears and wolves. It was a setting more suited to a survivalist than a future Formula One champion. Yet even in those rugged conditions, Kimi's passion for speed was already surfacing. By the age of 3, he was zipping around his neighborhood on a miniature motocross bike, a tiny figure with a huge need for speed. His interest quickly turned to karting, and since the family couldn't afford an actual kart, Kimi's father built him one from scratch using whatever materials they had at hand. As the expenses piled up, the burden on the family grew heavier. His father even worked 3 different jobs just to afford the bare minimum needed to keep Kimi racing. Despite their struggles, the Räikkönens pushed forward. They scraped enough together to buy a battered old van, which served as both transport and a makeshift pit garage. By the time Kimi was 10, he began karting competitively, and soon, his raw talent attracted international attention. With sponsorships finally trickling in, the sacrifices of his family paid off, launching Kimi from the quiet forests of Finland onto the grandest stage in motorsport, Formula One. Lando Norris racing with the golden ticket. In stark contrast to Kimi's story is the tale of Lando Norris, one of Formula One's rising stars and a fan favorite. Born in Bristol, England in November of 2000, Lando grew up surrounded by comfort and opportunity. His father, Adam Norris, made his fortune as a pensions director and is estimated to be worth over £200 million. With that level of financial firepower, Lando had access to the best of everything, from the start, equipment, coaching, travel, and connection. He didn't need to worry about expenses. The road ahead was already well paved. Interestingly, Lando didn't immediately gravitate toward cars. As a child, he dabbled in multiple sports, including motorcycle racing, quad biking, and even horse riding. But when he finally stepped into a go-kart at age 7, it was clear where his true passion lay. With his father's backing, Lando was able to compete in several high-level karting championships across the UK and Europe, allowing him to sharpen his skills far more quickly than most of his peers. His financial safety net gave him the freedom to focus entirely on racing without the added pressure of sponsorships or budget constraints. After dominating in karting, Lando smoothly transitioned through the junior formula ranks, winning multiple titles along the way. By the time he was announced as a McLaren driver in 2019, his arrival felt inevitable rather than surprising. Although his journey was undoubtedly smoothed by wealth, Lando has consistently proven himself on track with speed, skill, and personality, earning his place on the grid not just as a rich kid, but as a true competitor. Esteban Ocon racing for more than himself. Esteban Ocon's journey to Formula One is one of the most inspiring underdog stories the sport has ever seen. Born in Évreux, France, in September of 1996, Esteban didn't have the luxury of a wealthy family backing his dreams. His parents, Laurent and Sabrina Ocon, ran a modest automotive garage and lived a simple, hard-working life. When Esteban first expressed an interest in karting at the age of 7, it was clear the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Yet, like many families chasing a dream, they chose to fight the odds. At first, the Ocons managed to keep up with the growing financial demands of racing, but as Esteban began competing more seriously, the costs quickly became overwhelming. Every weekend meant long drives, hotel stays, new tires, and maintenance, expenses that chipped away at the family's savings. Eventually, they were faced with an unthinkable decision: either pull Esteban out of karting or go all in. They chose the latter, selling their house and their garage to fund his racing career. The family moved into a caravan, sacrificing stability, comfort, and security for the chance to see Esteban succeed. This made every race personal. Esteban wasn't just racing for podiums, he was racing for his family's future, and that weight didn't crush him, it fueled him. His consistent performance eventually caught the eye of Gravity Sports Management in 2011, who offered him the backing he so desperately needed. That support launched his single-seater career, setting him on a path that would lead to Formula One. Love him or not, Esteban Ocon is living proof that passion and sacrifice can rival privilege in the race to the top. Lance Stroll, Formula One's ultimate pay-to-play story. If there's ever been a poster child for privilege in Formula One, it's Lance Stroll. Born in Montreal, Canada in October of 1998, Lance is the son of billionaire businessman Lawrence Stroll, a man whose fortune comes from the fashion industry, with brands like Tommy Hilfiger and Michael Kors. From the very beginning, Lance was immersed in a world of luxury. His father's passion for motorsport wasn't just a hobby, it was an obsession backed by serious money. Lawrence didn't just buy his son go-karts or racing lessons. He bought racetracks. Literally. He owned the Circuit Mont-Tremblant in Quebec and had a personal car collection worth over $180 million. As Lance grew, so did his father's investment in his racing career. While most young drivers struggle to afford travel and competition fees, Lance was jet-setting across North America, competing with top-tier equipment and support. But the real game-changer came when Lawrence reportedly invested $60 million into Prema Racing, the dominant team in junior formulas, to ensure Lance had the best possible platform for success. With Prema, Lance won the Italian Formula 4 Championship in 2014 and followed up with a dominant Formula 3 season in 2016. But the most controversial moment came when Lance joined Williams F1 in 2017 without racing in Formula 2, the traditional stepping stone to F1. Rumors swirled that Lawrence paid the team up to $80 million for his son's seat. Then, in a move that stunned the paddock, Lawrence bought the entire Force India team in 2018, renamed it Racing Point, and later Aston Martin. Just like that, Lance didn't just have a seat, he had an entire team. It's wealth like this that highlights the immense disparity across the grid. Fernando Alonso, talent forged in sacrifice. Fernando Alonso is widely regarded as one of the most skilled drivers in the history of Formula One, but his journey to the top was anything but easy. Born in Oviedo, Spain in July of 1981, Fernando came from a working-class family. His father was an explosives mechanic in the mining industry, while his mother worked at a department store. They had limited means, but an abundance of determination, especially from Fernando's father, who had raced karts in his youth and wanted to pass that passion on to his children. The very first kart Fernando ever drove wasn't even meant for him. It was originally built by his father for his older sister, who quickly lost interest. That kart then became Fernando's gateway into the racing world. He was just 3 years old when he started driving it, and by 5, he had earned his first karting license. But competing wasn't easy. The family couldn't afford professional equipment, so his mother would sew his racing suits by hand, while his father took on the role of mechanic, engineer, and transport. They couldn't even afford wet weather tires, meaning Fernando often had to race on slicks in the rain, putting him at a disadvantage against competitors with better gear. But what he lacked in resources, he more than made up for with raw talent and tenacity. His natural ability behind the wheel was undeniable, and it wasn't long before a local karting track owner took notice. This generous supporter helped secure sponsorship deals that allowed Fernando to climb the racing ladder. From those rainy Spanish karting tracks to the pinnacle of motorsport, Alonso's rise wasn't built on money. It was built on heart, hustle, and pure driving brilliance. The harsh divide when money buys more than speed. The contrast between these drivers, Räikkönen and Norris, Ocon and Stroll, Alonso and countless others, lays bare one of Formula One's most uncomfortable truths. Talent isn't always enough. In a sport where even entry-level karting can cost tens of thousands per year, financial backing often becomes the difference between a dream pursued and a dream abandoned. For every Esteban Ocon living in a caravan, There's a Lance Stroll flying first class with brand new equipment. And that difference isn't just about convenience, it fundamentally shapes their paths to the top. Drivers like Alonso and Räikkönen had to fight tooth and nail for every opportunity. Their families made incredible sacrifices, not knowing whether it would pay off. There was no safety net. A bad season could mean the end. Meanwhile, wealthy drivers operate with the kind of cushion that allows them to take risks without fear. If one team doesn't work out, there's always another, or in Stroll's case, they'll just buy the team. What's fascinating is that the sport still manages to produce legends from both sides. Fernando Alonso, raised with next to nothing, became a two-time world champion. Lando Norris, born into millions, has earned his reputation with consistent performance. But the road they took to get there couldn't have been more different. This wealth gap also sparks constant debate among fans. Can someone like Lance Stroll ever earn respect if he never had to earn his seat? Or does raw talent like Alonso's shine even brighter when forged in adversity? These questions underscore a tension at the heart of Formula One. It's a sport driven by speed, but fueled by money. Sacrifices that paid off, the hidden cost of dreams. For the drivers who rose from humble beginnings, the cost of chasing a Formula One dream wasn't just financial, it was emotional, physical, and deeply personal. When Esteban Ocon's parents sold their home and garage, they weren't just investing in a racing career, they were risking their livelihood for a chance that might never come. Living in a caravan for years, scraping together just enough to get to the next race and pinning all their hopes on a young boy's dream. These are the kinds of decisions most families would never dare to make. Fernando Alonso's story is equally humbling. His mother sat late at night stitching racing suits. His father worked double duty as both provider and mechanic, and all the while, young Fernando was out on the track, driving in conditions that would make professionals hesitate. Kimi Räikkönen's father, juggling 3 jobs, did so without complaint, because the dream, however distant, was worth the grind. These families didn't just raise racers, they raised warriors. These stories are often hidden beneath the glamour of Formula One's polished image. The yachts, private jets, and designer suits dominate the headlines, while the quiet resilience of these families rarely makes the spotlight. But without those sacrifices, many of the sport's most beloved drivers wouldn't be where they are today. It reminds us that Formula One is not just about horsepower and engineering. It's about human spirit. Every underdog story on the grid is a testament to what can happen when passion overcomes poverty. In a world where the odds are stacked against you, sometimes the only fuel you need is belief. Privilege on the grid, more than just a head start. On the other side of the spectrum, drivers like Lando Norris and Lance Stroll represent the immense advantage that comes with financial privilege. These drivers never had to worry about whether they could afford to enter a race or travel to a competition. Every opportunity was available, every obstacle cleared before it even appeared. And in a sport as expensive as Formula One, that kind of backing changes everything. Lando Norris, to his credit, has proven himself as more than just a rich kid with a fast car. His talent is undeniable, and his performances since joining McLaren in 2019 have earned him a loyal fan base. He didn't ask to be born wealthy, but he has shown that he deserves his place on the grid. Still, the fact remains that his journey was made far easier by the millions behind him. Where others had to fight for a test drive, Lando had access to the best facilities, coaches, and equipment from day one. Lance Stroll's case, however, is harder to ignore. From his father's $60 million investment in Prima Racing to the $80 million reportedly paid to secure a seat at Williams and eventually buying an entire F1 team, his career has been undeniably shaped by money. And while Lance has had respectable performances on occasion, many question whether he would have made it to F1, let alone stayed this long, without his father's deep pocket. Privilege doesn't guarantee success in Formula One, but it sure makes the road smoother. In a sport where milliseconds matter, the difference between starting from 0 and starting from 100 million can't be overstated. In the world of Formula One, the starting line isn't the same for everyone. Some drivers begin with handcrafted carts and secondhand gear fueled only by family sacrifice and personal grit. Others start their journey in state-of-the-art facilities with private coaches, elite simulators, and teams ready to tailor everything to their needs. And yet, they all line up on the same grid, the same stopwatch judges them, the same corners test their bravery. This contrast is what makes Formula One both beautiful and brutal. It showcases the human spirit in all its forms, whether it's a working-class family betting everything on their child's dream, or a billionaire father reshaping the sport to carve out a path for his son. Both stories, though wildly different, are part of the same tapestry that makes F1 so fascinating. The rich kids might have the tools, but the underdogs bring the heart. And when they meet on track, it's not about money, it's about milliseconds. It's about who breaks later, who takes the risk, who finds the edge and dares to stay there. That's why fans still cheer louder for drivers like Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, because they represent something pure, the idea that even in the most expensive sport in the world, raw talent and determination can still make it to. So the next time you watch a Grand Prix, remember this: behind every helmet is a story, some built on fortune, others forged in fire.